Well, I first should say that I don't want to be accused of playing favorites, so congratulations to all of you Michigan fans out there. But on behalf of all Michigan State fans, thank you. Truly, thank you. But I'm happy because half of you are happy, so praise the Lord. What's the difference between a runner who runs as a hobby or a runner who runs because it's their way of life? Now, I think the difference would be something like this. Someone who runs because it's their hobby, it's just what they do when they have time. Like it's the cherry on top of a day. You know, they find a little extra time in the afternoon, they can go for a run, praise Jesus, it's awesome. But they might do it once or twice a week. Someone who runs kind of as a way of life, every day has to go for a run. Their day isn't right unless they start it with a run. You know, there's just something about going for a run, maybe it's the endorphins or whatever, but it's their life. It's their life. I think for us, Jesus is trying to shake us up a little bit this weekend. He doesn't want us to be complacent. And the question that we have to reflect on is this: is Jesus a hobby? Is he just someone we talk to when it's convenient or when we have time? Or is Jesus a way of life? Does he inform everything that we do? One of my favorite books that I read this year is called Atomic Habits. I highly recommend it, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's interesting, he says in the book something that I thought was a little shocking. He said, we become our habits, or our habits define the person we become. And I was a little surprised by that because in general, right, as Christians, we should not like that statement because we are, first and foremost, in an identity, we are God's children. We are God's beloved. That is who we are. There's nothing we have to do to earn that. But there is something about that statement that is good. And Bishop Barron even says the same thing. Bishop Barron says, we become, our choices shape the person we become. So what does this look like? Well, it looks like this. In the book, the Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about this woman who wants to become a healthy person. And she has to lose 100 pounds. And she does it. She loses 100 pounds. And when he interviews her and asks her how she did this, how did she accomplish this goal, she said she made one simple change in her life. And that change was this. In everything that she did, she asked herself one question: what would a healthy person do? That's what she did. And so, when she would wait at a bus stop, she would ask herself, what would a healthy person do? Would a healthy person take the bus, or would a healthy person walk home? And she would choose what the healthy person would do. If she was with friends, and they were out to dinner, and there was the choice between a healthy meal and an unhealthy meal, she would choose what she thought a healthy person would eat. Now, in 1 or 2 days, that doesn't make much of a difference. But over 1 or 2 years, she accomplished her goal and lost 100 pounds. But notice something. She didn't become a healthy person the day she started doing these things. She was acting like one, even though she wasn't yet one, right? But she became one. She became a healthy person by the choices she made. Jesus wants us to do the same thing. He wants us to pay attention to him in this life and to wake up. He doesn't want us to be found in drunkenness or to be found asleep at the wheel. He wants us to wake up and be vigilant. And I think that the way we do that is we make Jesus the center of our life. He's not just a hobby. He's not just someone we talk to once a week or once a month or whatever. He is the center of everything. And if Jesus becomes the center of everything, if he is the ruler of our life, that means we ask ourselves a similar question that this woman asked. Instead of a healthy question, we ask, what would a Christian do? How would a Christian act? How would a Christian respond in this moment? So, for example, if we wake up in the morning and we have the choice between watching the news, which is not a bad thing, or to first spend 5 minutes in prayer, and we ask ourselves, what would a good Christian do? We'd probably choose prayer. Or if we're thinking about someone on our heart that we're angry and frustrated with, if we ask ourselves that question, what would a good Christian do? We might be more willing to show forgiveness, because a God who has loved us and forgiven us will help us forgive others. Or if we're thinking about the sins in our life that we need to avoid and we're struggling with, and maybe we're having a temptation with a particular sin, and we ask ourselves that question, what would a Christian do in this moment? And our response will probably be to not do this thing, to avoid this sin. Jesus wants us to take following him seriously. And I think the way we do that is by asking ourselves that very question, what would a Christian do? And maybe for some of us, we might feel like we're not good, holy people yet. But just like that healthy woman who lost 100 pounds, who started off in a very unhealthy way, we too can go from being sinners to saints. We may be surprised at who we resemble at the end of this life if we ask ourselves every day, what would a good Christian do?